So it's with Goldfinger, our third James Bond film, that we get the Bond mania, if you like, Bond mania of the 1960s. Bond had become a cultural phenomenon by the time of Goldfinger. And this was only the third film in the series. The film was premiered in September 1964, so it's almost 50 years old, and there are some incredibly striking images in the film. Is it the best? Lots of people ask that question. And people say, if I'm going to watch a James Bond film, which one should I watch? A lot of people would say watch Goldfinger. It's the most iconic, certainly, out of all of the Bonds because of the images, because of Shirley Eaton painted gold, because of Odd Job with the bowler hat, because of Do You Expect Me to Talk? No, Mr. Bond, I Expect You to Die. Some killer lines, some great lines. One of the best theme songs from Shirley Bassey singing Goldfinger. And Gert Frober as well, a great villain, as Auric Goldfinger himself. Personally, I don't think it's the best. I think From Russia with Love is better as a film. Actually, I think Dr. No and From Russia with Love are better films than Goldfinger. And the reason I say that is because Goldfinger's almost become a victim of its success. There are individual scenes that stand out more than the film as a whole, I think. It's not to put the film down at all, because I think it is a good film, but I think it becomes a little over the top in places and a bit too comical. I say that, obviously, the Roger Moore films take that to the extreme, and by anyone's opinion, Goldfinger is very serious compared to some of the Roger Moore outings. But I think there was a little too much. I don't know. It just seemed a bit too much excess for 007 in the third outing. But of course, the film did phenomenally well. It was the first film to gross over $1 million at the box office worldwide. So, it just went to show that James Bond had staying power even at that early time, 3 films in. And of course, Ian Fleming, it's the James Bond's creator, didn't get to see how popular his films would become after From Russia with Love. He saw Dr. No and From Russia with Love, but sadly he died of a heart attack about a month before Goldfinger was released in the UK. So it was a great shame, and I'm sure, although perhaps he wouldn't have agreed with all of the choices that the Bond producers have made over the years with the films, I think he certainly praised Sean Connery. I think he looked at the first 2 films and he said he found it very difficult to imagine anyone else playing the character of James Bond. So, obviously Sean Connery was doing something right. And with this film, Connery is still on top form again. I mean, these are certainly his best films. The first 3 are showcase Sean Connery at his best of the 6 films that he made in the series. Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger, a terrific theme tune. Just every time you hear it, it's one of the most recognisable, and it's one of the best. It's in the top 5 James Bond themes without a doubt. Robert Brownjohn took over from Maurice Binder. Maurice Binder was unavailable to do the title sequence for Goldfinger, so Robert Brownjohn came in to do that, and it's interesting because it's one of the only title sequences, I think it might be the only one actually in the series, that basically shows images from the film in the title sequence. I think it is the only one actually in the series that does that, so that's quite intriguing. I know On Her Majesty's Secret Service shows images from the previous films up to that point, but Goldfinger is the only film, as far as I'm aware, in the series where the clips from the film, images from the film, are shown in the credit sequence. So, I mean, even within the first 10 minutes of the film, you're getting a glimpse of what's to come in the film. And of course there are some iconic moments. There's Shirley Eaton painted gold, Oddjob with the steel-rimmed bowler hat, and, you know, an accessory just like Rosa Klebb's knife-tipped shoe in From Russia with Love. And you also have... you've just got all the elements. You've got the Aston Martin as well, the DB5, which is just such a beautiful car. And in some ways, it's the best character in the film, the car. It is a good film. I'm sounding like I hate Goldfinger, but I certainly don't at all. The first three Bond films are probably three of the best in the series. So it was a great start, really. Honor Blackman is so-so as Pussy Galore. I mean, it's an interesting character with certainly the most flamboyant name in the series up to this point. I mean, we would get Holly Goodhead a little bit later, and Honor Top. But Pussy Galore is certainly one of the most striking names in the series so far, and she was the oldest of the Bond girls at the time. I think Daniela Bianchi was in her early 20s, the same with Ursula Andress for Dr. No, but Honor Blackman was 36 when they were making Goldfinger, so I mean she was considered an older Bond girl, in some ways a Bond woman. M, of course, is here once again. Bernard Lee playing M brilliantly, commenting on Bond's taste in drinks. His apparently Bond's expertise lead to the fields of sherry as well, and different types of sherry. So even M is shocked and just annoyed by that. I think there's a prickly relationship between Bond and M, and that's played very nicely here in Goldfinger. Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny, again, third outing in the series, and it's already great. There's already nice flirtation between her and Bond. You know that nothing can ever happen, but it's a nice character dynamic between the two of them. You have Tanya Mallet, who plays the ill-fated Tilly Masterson, the sister of Jill Masterson, who was played by Shirley Eaton, who is painted in gold by Oddjob. But Tilly Masterson also... her fate lies in the hands of Oddjob as well, and Oddjob's hat. But she's obviously trying to avenge the death of her sister as well. So it's a short role, and it's quite a prickly role, actually, but she plays it very well. As for Gert Frober, a larger-than-life villain. There's some great moments with Frober. The golf course scene, actually, which was filmed at Stoke Poges, very close to Pinewood Studios, is one of the standout scenes, I think, in the film. It's a lovely relationship there. It's great dynamics between Bond, Goldfinger, and between Bond and his caddy as well. It's a great scene, actually. Another very good scene is Mr. Solo being crushed in his car as well. He had a pressing engagement, of course. This film has so many one-liners and so many great lines actually in it as well. Really, the film is famous because of the memorable moments in the film. But as I've said, I think it does seem to be more odd scenes here and there that you think of when you think of Goldfinger, rather than the film as a whole. The villains, whilst Goldfinger and Oddjob are very good, they don't come up to the level of Donald Grant, for example, in From Russia with Love. There are great scenes in Goldfinger, of course. The laser sequence is just is wonderful. It's a wonderful little moment, and it's actually one of the few times where Bond looks genuinely scared for his life and for his package as well. Which I don't blame him. I don't think I'd fancy being in that position either. But there we go. There's not a huge amount more I can say about Goldfinger. The set pieces are great. Ken Adams' Fort Knox set has to be applauded, really. As a product designer, he's number one, and for the time certainly, it's terrific. And for somebody just to imagine what Fort Knox might look like. I mean, even the Bond producers, with all the flexibility that they get for filming in different locations, they were not allowed inside the top secret vaults of Fort Knox Gold Depository, not inside the real one. So, you know, Ken Adams, as a designer, had to design a cathedral of gold, and I think he succeeded brilliantly. The set pieces are excellent in Goldfinger, and it's a larger than life film. It's you can see why people rate it highly in the series, and yeah, it's great. There are, but for me, it's key standout scenes that that are better than the film as a whole in some ways. So, my verdict of Goldfinger, I'd love to say I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, but I think it still deserves a 9, or perhaps even a 9.5. The theme itself deserves a 10 from Shirley Bassey. It's one of the best. And for iconic moments, it gets a 10 as well. But as a film, I think it's just below From Russia with Love, in my opinion, in the ratings of the James Bond films and Sean Connery's outings as 007. So, Bond Mania kicked in 1964, but it was about to get even bigger. Brace yourself for Bond number 4. James Bond will return in Thunderball.